to this region. Father was former mayor of McAllen for 20 years. A lot of this area, actually where you are staying at, your hotel, was their property at one point. So this gentleman has got a lot of knowledge, and I'd like for you to give him your undivided attention.
If you live anywhere and don't move and you stay in one place long enough, you'll know something. that's not my secret. I've lived here since I was 4. I just turned 70 last month. And so I've lived here 66 years of my life. The valley as a child and where it is now are totally two completely different things. It is almost like living in a different country in certain parts of the valley. People say that it's safe, it's unsafe. I know you all have heard both sides of that coin probably for some time. I'm going to give you a little bit of clarity on that. And I take Hidalgo County as an example because this has been one of the largest crossing points for illegals in the United States for many years up until last year, and the movement moved up to Del Rio and El Paso, mainly because we put between the Mexican government and the state of Texas, we put so much pressure on the cartel, they moved. It was just easier. They didn't have to have any conflict. You know, I don't know where to start with you guys. I really do want to try to get through this because I want to walk you back out under the trees. We're not sitting out here in the heat forever. But I've been on this board. I serve on the water district board. Been there 21 years this year. We are on the river. These water districts, there's 25 of us in the valley. We serve the cities with all their raw water needs. And so we are on the face of the river. All my employees, you saw the wall. You came through the wall. For those of you that aren't real sure about it, we are not in Mexico when you cross through the wall. We're still in the U.S. But between the river and the wall, we call this the DMZ zone or no man's land. Because in my years here, and farming with my father for over about 50 years of my life, we farmed on the river, owned a lot of land on the river at the time. It was not uncommon. Take you back to the days where you're workers and you had your own little colonia on your farm, and you had your own little church, and you had your own little grocery store, and you employed 30, 40 people on the river, lived on the river, worked on the river. When I was growing up, the weekends we didn't go off to Vegas, or we didn't go off anywhere. We went down to the river. And we swam and we skied and we boated and we swung off trees and we camped out and people set up trailers, cabins. It was a weekend. That was the weekend, you know. And if you wanted to get out and get away, that's all gone. None of that exists on the river anymore. People that used to live on the farms, own their land and live on farms, they've all moved to Canada. People that live north of here, 150 miles, have moved off their ranches and moved into the cities. My men have been shot at multiple times here. They've been chased off multiple times. The cartel can get done with their business and go about their day. My man, this is one of our pump facilities here. My men will come up here in the middle. And of course, cities are real funny. They like water 24/7. I don't know why. So that means we have to come out here 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. Undoubtedly, they'll show up and they've walked up on a load of illegals or drugs, so coming to our very convenient ramp we have for them when they need it. And the language is, when they see my man, is this is cartel border sign language. It's that's all they have to do. What does that mean?
What are you gonna do?
It means, what are you doing here? Get out of here. So when the language on the river is, when you come across a cartel like that, they don't want any confrontation. They don't want to beat up anybody, they don't want to shoot anybody, they don't want to kill anybody. They just want to do their business. So what that means is, you get back in your car, you go to McDonald's and get a cup of coffee for 30 minutes and come back. That's what my men have to do. I don't like it. We live in America. I don't like the intimidation. I don't like the threats. All of my men are profiled. I'm profiled. Border Patrol superintendent called me several, this was about 4 or 5 years ago. And of course we have drugs and we have people crossing here every day. You can see the trails. There's a trail there. There's a couple of, anywhere where you don't see any grass, that's the trail. And they're daily. They're daily. But he called me up and said, Mr. Brand, we want you to know that we picked up a load of marijuana at your pump station this morning. I was thinking to myself, why is he calling? I mean, that's just like an everyday event. He said, but what we wanted you to know is, I normally drive a white Suburban. Not today, but normally. I always wear a white shirt because I get dressed in the middle of the night and I don't have to do any color coordination. And he said, we just wanted you to know that the men saw a white Suburban come in the gate you came in today, and they didn't think anything about it. He was wearing a white shirt. And about 10 minutes later, he came back out. And the man noticed that it was sitting kind of low. So they went up and found out it was a cartel guy impersonating me. Wow. Everybody that works on the river is profiled. We know that. All my men. We tried to distinguish the guys when this started really getting busy and hectic. So I said, we'd have people come across, walk up to my men, and Border Patrol would be like where they are right here, right now. And they just walk up to my guys and they just pick up a tool or pick up a hoe and just work beside them. Yeah. Until the Border Patrol left, and then they'd walk across. Didn't like that. I said, you know what? We're going to fix that. You're all going to have uniforms. If you saw one of my guys here right now, they'd have a blue shirt on, and it says Water Control Improvement District number 3 on it. In less than 2 weeks, they started coming across in blue shirts. Wow. You know, it's almost a game, but it's deadly. You know, I tell people all the time, we in the valley know that everything that's going on this other side of the river, all the cartels, which fight daily because this is the richest crossing area for any cartel in the United States. And so the Gulf Cartel, this is their territory, they've got infighting going on right now. And they fight in downtown Reynosa, a town of 1.5 million people who have no police chief because they all get killed or threatened. They have to have the federales, which would be equivalent to our military, police that city. And they have to rotate their men every 6 weeks so that the cartel cannot get their teeth into them and find out where they live, where their family is, what their kids' names are, and then start threatening. It's serious. It's nothing we take lightly. We've done everything we can do. I put in street lights. When I first got here, I said, my God, we're going to have street lights and that will keep them away. Well, it just made it easier for them to see during the night. Get to the gate. Well, we put up towers and cameras. So we put up towers and cameras before Border Patrol started doing it, and we gave them access to them. That just made it, you know, it helped. We've pulled out, since I've been here, 12 bodies out of this channel. When they first started pulling them out, they were having to pull them off this cliff. Ours is more of a cliff. We're on the outside curve of the river. And I said, well, guys, can't you get a boat in there and pull them out? Border Patrol told me, this is your federal government, said, Mr. Brand, for the 13 miles of this river, we have no access for our boats. Whoa, time out. My government, you guys can't put a boat in? No.
So is the river still U.S.?
The middle.
The tree line, the middle.
The middle.
It's in the middle.
Clearly.
The cartel knows that, and they stay on that side, even in their boats.
What's the reasoning why they can't
Can't what?
put boats in this 13 miles?
Well, because they had no ramp. They had no access. Me and 5 other men built this. Never built a boat ramp in my life. I will tell you, we built it twice. We learned the first time. We took it out and we did it right the second time. but we said, you know, my board says we can't, you know, when my guys got shot at, we finally figured out they weren't trying to hurt my guys. They were just trying to get them to move. They just wanted to move. Okay, well, so we're getting to where we understand what the rules to the game is. If you're going to be on the river. And I told my men, I said, guys, I can't protect you. I said, I'm your employer. But you're talking about a multi-million-dollar industry on the other side of the river that has more money than Border Patrol has to do what they do. So carry a gun. You want to carry a gun, you carry a gun. I thought about that for 3 days and I come back because, you know, on a second thought, you can have a gun, but since we're a public entity, I think you ought to have some training. So we did back then. We had the concealed handgun carry law, and so I had a family living here. I had all 3 of their kids, the wife, and all my employees go through that so they could carry a gun.
Do they all carry?
Yes, I carry. I never carried. I lived here all my life. I've never carried until the last 5 years. When we come up here any hours of the day, and there'll be people just standing around. You don't ever know. You know, it's one of those things like, you know, the bleeding hearts will say, well, these are just people looking for a better life. Well, yes, they are. And I don't have time with that. I just want to come across legally. But the problem is, Border Patrol tells us that 13% of all people coming across right now have COVID. So it's just getting reintroduced and reintroduced and reintroduced to the valley all the time. They tell us that 2.5% of all the people coming across have criminal records. And we're not talking purse snatchers, we're talking pedophiles, murderers, rapists, hard crimes. Now, I didn't learn this till 3 years ago, but that 2.5% only represents those that are coming across that have records on the U.S. side. I said, well, what about the other side? Well, with what cooperation we're able to get from not all the governments south of us, but from several of them, we estimate 2.5% to 5% of those coming across have criminal records from their countries. So, okay, so let's just say a low average would be 5% of all of them put together are criminals. We have 2,000 a day. What's 5% of 2,000?
100.
Just in our district right now, it's down.
100 a day.
Is that 100 a day? You know how many patrolling officers? McAllen's the largest city in the county. We have 47 patrolling officers on every shift, and in one day we have twice as many criminals as we have police law enforcement on the streets. Now, what I was going to allude to you earlier about was that the county of Hidalgo is 1,587 square miles. Of that, we have 22 cities in our county that represent más o menos around 300 square miles. That means we've got about 1,287 square miles that's outside the cities. Now, you know the old saying about where there is no law, there's lawlessness. That's true. And the less there is of it, the more crime you got. So all these people that have lived out of the county, that's where the biggest threat is to property and life. If you're in the city, now if you go talk to any Chamber of Commerce in the valley or any mayor or police chief, they're all going to tell you this is a safe valley. You know where they get paid? They're all getting paid from all the tourists and all you guys coming down. I don't appreciate that. I appreciate telling them the truth, like saying, you know, as long as you stay in the city, you're okay, but you might not want to go out in the country. You might not want to go down the river, where you are now. And we're outside city limits of Hidalgo. We're not in city limits of anybody. But anyway, to finish that story, 47 patrolling officers in the city of McAllen. I called the chief, county chief, sheriff, and I said, what do you got? He says, I've got 47 patrolling officers to cover 1,287 square miles. In McAllen, due to our size, we have one patrol officer for almost every square mile of our city. That's pretty good. The sheriff's got one to like every 35 square miles. If you want any help, you just better be counting on yourself. Because any help you're going to get is going to be 35 minutes to an hour longer out. That's how critical it is. As far as we're concerned, that's how it is. My friends who have lived out in the country, you know, people with oil or cattle or whatever, that have all moved in town, all of them. I don't know a single one of them that haven't moved in the city. They cannot leave their wife at home and feel safe. They can't leave their wife and kids. Even when they're there, they'll come knock on the door, or they'll, you know, it used to be when I was growing up, we had illegals. They were very passive. We didn't have there was not a cartel. Cartel's not always been around. When I was a kid, we used to call them banditos. and they weren't organized. And but they would leave out. It was not uncommon to leave out food and water for passersby, and part of it was humanitarian, but also part of it was so don't take in my house. That's what that was. And now we've literally had 2 suburban loads of them come in, knock on the door, say, "You've got 10 minutes to get out of your house." This is not America. I tell this guy, bring me everybody you know. Anybody that wants to know what it's like to live in this environment, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, I don't care. If you're an American, then come, because I want to tell you, this is not what I was raised in. This is not what I consider to be America. I do not like my man being intimidated. I do not like him being threatened. That is not the way we live.
You talked about the federal government, our federal government. What combination is it of we need better laws, we need to enforce laws that we have,
No.
or the administration picking and
people,
choosing?
there are 5 things for that I'm gonna try to remember them all. You have
Maybe 4.
Rick Perry, one moment here. You have air division, marine division, boots on the ground, border wall, and technology. Those are the 5 things. That's what all the military, if you look at military, it's the same list. The reason we can't control it is because we don't exert the will for people to know you can come, but come legally. I like what Trump said one time when he came down here about the wall. And I've had Pence here, I've had Pelosi here, I've had Trump here. We've had at least 100 congressmen since I've been here. Just anybody that wants to come down and hear what's going on and see and I know a lot of times you guys didn't come down and listen to me. You just came down and looked at the river, then border wall in New Mexico. I know that, but I got you, so you're mine.
So what did Nancy
That's right.
Pelosi,
Yeah, see, this is my timekeeper here. 3 more minutes.
How did Nancy Pelosi react?
You would have laughed, because back then when she came and they were saying everything was safe on the border, we'll go down and show you.
When was it? What year ish?
3-4 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
She stayed in the car.
No. When you came in, you saw we have a levee around our facility.
Yeah.
And so Border Patrol likes to bring elected officials here because that levee keeps their view from anybody seeing what's on the other side of it until they come over here. Like you all are all exposed right now. But you're not on their list, believe me.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, we're on a list.
But anyway.